Ladies and gentlemen, I want to encourage you today, don't stop until you're proud of yourself. You see, so many times in life, we settle for less than what we are capable of. We hit a roadblock, we face a challenge, and we start believing that maybe this is all we were meant to achieve. But I came to tell you, that's not true. You were created for greatness. You were designed with a purpose, and God has placed something incredible inside of you. Let me tell you something today, there's greatness inside of you. God has put something special in your heart, a dream, a vision, a calling. But so often we look at where we are right now and we think, I'm not good enough. I don't have what it takes. I've tried before and I failed. But can I tell you, that is not the truth. What's inside of you is bigger than anything trying to stop you. See, life has a way of throwing obstacles in our path. Maybe you've been working hard trying to get ahead, but every time you make progress, something pulls you back. Maybe you're believing for a breakthrough, but you're facing disappointment after disappointment. It's easy to think, maybe this is just how it's going to be. Maybe I should settle right here. But let me encourage you, this is not your final destination. God didn't bring you this far to leave you. That setback is not the end of your story. That challenge is not a sign that you should quit. No, it's a sign that you're closer than you think. I love the story of Joseph in the Bible. Joseph had a dream that one day he would be a great leader. But before he could step into that promise, he was betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, and thrown into prison for something he didn't even do. Everything in his life seemed to be going in the opposite direction of what God had promised him. He had every reason to give up, to get bitter, to say, maybe I heard God wrong. But do you know what Joseph did? He kept the right attitude. He stayed faithful. He kept doing his best, even in the hardest seasons. And because he didn't quit, because he kept honoring God, one day he went from the prison to the palace. One moment he was forgotten, overlooked, mistreated, and the next he was second in command over all of Egypt. What am I saying? Your time is coming, your breakthrough is on the way, but you have to stay in faith. You have to keep believing, keep pushing forward, keep trusting that God is working behind the scenes. Maybe right now you're in a season where you don't see anything changing. You're praying, you're believing, but nothing is happening. Can I tell you, that doesn't mean God isn't working. Some of the greatest miracles take place beneath the surface where you can't see them yet. When a seed is planted, it takes time before you see any growth. But underground, something is happening. Roots are taking hold, foundations are being built. And when the time is right, that seed will push through the soil and become something beautiful. It's the same with you. Just because you don't see progress right now doesn't mean God isn't moving. Keep being faithful. Keep waking up every day with expectation. Keep giving your best, even when it feels like no one is noticing. God sees you. He sees your effort. He sees your heart. And when the time is right, He's going to launch you into. But here's the key, you can't give up too soon. The enemy would love for you to quit right before your breakthrough. He would love for you to throw in the towel just before God opens the door. But I came to remind you, you are too close to stop now. You've come too far, you fought too hard, you've endured too much to walk away now. Keep pressing forward. Keep declaring God's promises over your life. Keep saying, I am strong, I am victorious, I am anointed, I am equipped, I am well able. Because when you keep speaking faith, when you keep pushing through the challenges, that's when you'll see God do things that only He can do. Think about an eagle. When a storm comes, most birds run and hide, but the eagle spreads its wings and lets the wind carry it higher. Instead of fighting against the storm, the eagle uses it to soar above it. That's what God wants you to do. The storms of life are not meant to defeat you, they're meant to elevate you. That difficulty is not there to break you, it's there to make you stronger. Some of you have been dealing with opposition, with setbacks, with people who don't believe in you. But let me tell you something, their doubt doesn't determine your destiny. Their opinions don't define your future. You have everything you need to succeed. You have the talent, the wisdom, the strength, and most importantly, you have the favor of God. What He started in your life, He will finish. I remember hearing about a man who was climbing a mountain. He had been going for hours, pushing through, exhausted. At one point, he thought, I can't go any further. This is too much, I should just turn back. But then a guy told him, you're closer than you think. Just around that bend, the summit is right there. That's a word for somebody today, you are closer than you think. Don't turn back now. Don't let weariness, frustration, or disappointment talk you out of your victory. God didn't bring you this far to leave you. That dream He put in your heart, it's still alive. That vision He gave you, it's still possible. But you've got to keep going. You've got to keep trusting. You've got to keep believing that the best is still ahead. So I'm asking you today, don't stop now. Don't stop believing in yourself. Don't stop working on that goal. Don't stop praying. Don't stop dreaming. Don't stop giving it your all. Because if you keep going, if you stay in faith, you're going to step into something greater than you ever imagined. The doors will open. The right opportunities will come. What you've been working for, what you've been praying for, what you've been believing for, it's on the way. And one day you're going to look back and say it was all worth it. The struggle, the late nights, the hard work, the setbacks, they weren't there to stop me. They were there to prepare me. You're going to see that every difficulty was just another step toward your destiny. So hold your head up high. Walk with confidence. Stay in faith. And remember, the best is yet to come. God bless you. Let me tell you something today. Your attitude is everything. You can't always control what happens to you, but you can control how you respond. Life will throw challenges your way. There will be disappointments, delays, people who do you wrong. But here's the key. You don't have to let those things steal your joy, your peace, or keep you from moving forward. See, the enemy doesn't just want to stop you physically. He wants to stop you mentally. He knows if he can get you discouraged, frustrated, doubting yourself, then he's already won half the battle. But I came to tell you today you have the power to overcome. When life gets tough, when the obstacles seem too big, when people are saying it's not possible, that's when you have to dig your heels in and say, I refuse to give up. I refuse to let this defeat me. I know that God is still in control, and I know that something good is coming out of this. Think about David in the Bible. Before he became king, he faced all kinds of challenges. He had to fight a giant named Goliath. He had to run for his life when King Saul became jealous and tried to kill him. He spent years hiding in caves, wondering when his promise would come to pass. But do you know what David did? He kept the right perspective. He didn't let the difficulty make him bitter. He let it make him better. He didn't focus on how unfair things were. He focused on how big his God was. That's what you have to do. Maybe you're facing something that feels impossible. Maybe you've tried, you've prayed, you've given it your best, but nothing is changing. Let me encourage you, this is not the time to quit. This is the time to press forward with a victorious mindset. Your attitude in the struggle will determine your altitude in the success. When you choose faith over fear, gratitude over grumbling, victory over victimhood, you are setting yourself up for promotion. I love how an eagle responds to a storm. Most birds try to hide or fly away, but not the eagle. The eagle spreads its wings, catches the wind, and uses the storm to rise higher. That's what God wants you to do. When opposition comes, don't shrink back, stretch your faith. Declare, I am strong, I am anointed, I am well able. Because when you have the right mindset, when you refuse to let the struggle define you, that's when God will take you places you never dreamed of. Maybe you've had people walk away from you, people who didn't believe in you. Maybe someone told you that you weren't good enough, talented enough, smart enough. But can I tell you, their opinion doesn't determine your destiny. What God spoke over you is more powerful than what they said about you. You don't have to live for people's approval. You already have God's approval. I remember hearing about a young man who was passionate about music. He had a dream of becoming a singer, but every time he auditioned, he was told he wasn't good enough. He got rejection after rejection. Most people would have given up. Most people would have said, maybe this isn't for me. But not him. He kept going. He kept working. He kept improving. And one day he got the opportunity of a lifetime. He became a world-renowned artist, not because it was easy, not because everything went his way, but because he refused to quit when things got hard. What am I saying? Don't let obstacles talk you out of your destiny. Just because it's taking longer than you thought doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Just because you've had some setbacks doesn't mean God has forgotten you. No, those challenges are strengthening you. They're building character, resilience, determination. When you face difficulties with the right mindset, you're showing God that you're ready for the next level. Sometimes God doesn't remove the challenge because He's using it to develop something inside of you. He's stretching your faith. He's teaching you patience. He's making sure that when the blessing comes, you'll be ready to handle it. So instead of complaining about what's not working, instead of getting discouraged by the delays, start seeing it as preparation. Start saying, God, I trust you. I may not understand it, but I believe you're working behind the scenes. I believe you're setting me up for something greater. Look at the story of Job. Job was a faithful man, but one day he lost everything, his health, his wealth, his family. Most people would have given up. Most people would have become bitter, angry, resentful. But do you know what Job did? He kept praising. He kept believing. He kept trusting that God was still in control. And because he didn't give up, because he didn't let the hardship define him, God restored everything he lost and then some. That's the kind of faith you need to have. When life knocks you down, don't stay down, get back up. Shake off the discouragement. Shake off the negative voices. Keep pressing forward, knowing that God is faithful. He's not just going to bring you out, He's going to bring you out better. So let me ask you, how are you responding to the challenges in your life? Are you letting them weigh you down, steal your joy, make you question your potential? Or are you rising above them, using them as stepping stones to something greater? The truth is, you are stronger than you think. You are more capable than you realize. There is greatness inside of you, but you have to make up your mind that you won't let obstacles stop you. You won't let delays discourage you. You won't let people's opinions define you. I believe that when you stay in faith, when you keep the right perspective, when you refuse to quit, you're going to see things turn around. You're going to see doors open that you never expected. You're going to look back and say, that challenge didn't break me, it made me. So don't settle where you are. Don't let the struggle make you give up. Keep believing, keep pushing, keep expecting great things. Because when you do, you're going to step into a life of favor, a life of victory, a life of blessing beyond anything you ever imagined. The best is yet to come. God bless you. I want to encourage you today, what you're facing is not there to stop you, it's there to grow you. Every challenge, every setback, every difficulty is not happening to you, it's happening for you. It's preparing you for what God has in store. See, God never allows a difficulty unless He's going to use it to take you higher. The mistake we make sometimes is thinking that challenges mean we're on the wrong path. That if things aren't easy, maybe we're not supposed to keep going. But can I tell you, the struggle is proof that you're on the right track. The enemy doesn't fight people who aren't a threat. The fact that you're facing challenges, the fact that you're dealing with opposition, means there is something valuable inside of you. The enemy sees your potential. He sees what you're capable of. And he's trying to wear you down before you reach your destiny. But here's the key. You don't grow in the easy times. You grow in the tough times. You don't develop strength when everything is going your way. You develop strength when you have to push through obstacles, when you have to keep going even when you feel like giving up. I think about a young eagle. When it's time for the mother eagle to teach it how to fly, do you know what she does? She stirs up the nest. She makes it uncomfortable. She starts pulling out the soft feathers, the padding, until that nest is no longer a place of comfort. That eaglet is thinking, what's going on? Why is this happening? But what it doesn't realize is that discomfort is what will push it to spread its wings. Some of you are wondering why things have gotten harder, why certain doors have closed, why what used to be comfortable isn't comfortable anymore. Could it be that God is stirring up your nest? Could it be that He's saying it's time to go higher? It's time to step out in faith, to stretch yourself, to develop new skills, to believe for greater things. You may not like it in the moment. It may feel like a struggle, but that struggle is developing something in you. It's preparing you for the next level. Look at Joseph in the Bible. God gave him a dream that one day he would be a great leader. But before that dream came to pass, he went through years of difficulty. He was betrayed by his brother, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and thrown into prison. It looked like he was going in the opposite direction of his destiny. But what Joseph didn't realize was that those challenges were preparing him for what was coming. See, before Joseph could rule a nation, he had to learn to manage a household. Before he could lead thousands, he had to learn to lead in prison. If he had gone straight to the throne, he wouldn't have been ready. He had been to go through the process. He had to develop wisdom, patience, character. That's what God does with us. He takes us through seasons of growth. He allows challenges to shape us, to refine us, to build us up so that when we step into our destiny, we're ready for it. You may not understand why things are happening the way they are. You may feel like, God, why am I dealing with this struggle? Why is it taking so long? But what you don't realize is that God is developing something in you that you're going to need later on. Maybe you're in a job right now that feels beneath you. You know you're capable of more. You have bigger dreams. But instead of complaining, instead of getting discouraged, what if you saw it as training? What if you said, God, I may not see it now, but I trust that you're preparing me for something greater? The way you handle this season determines the level of the next season. If you're faithful in the small things, God will open the door to bigger things. If you stay positive, if you keep doing your best, if you keep growing even when no one is watching, God will take you places you never imagined. I love what the scripture says, do not grow weary in doing good, for in due season you will reap a harvest if you do not give up. Notice it doesn't say you might reap a harvest. It doesn't say if everything goes perfectly, then you'll see results. No, it says you will, but here's the key, you can't quit. You can't give up when it gets hard. You can't walk away when the process is still unfolding. I heard about a man who was digging for gold. He had spent months working, digging, pushing forward, but he wasn't seeing any results. Finally, he got so discouraged that he gave up. He walked away. What he didn't know was that just 3 feet away, there was a massive gold vein. If he had just kept going a little bit longer, if he had just pushed through the frustration, he would have struck gold. How many times do we stop just short of our breakthrough? How many times do we get discouraged because it's taking longer than we expected? But can I tell you, you are closer than you think. You may not see it yet, but that doesn't mean it's not coming. That relationship you've been praying for, that opportunity you've been working toward, that dream you've been believing for, it's on the way. But you have to keep growing, keep preparing, keep allowing God to shape you through the process. So my challenge to you today is this: embrace the season you're in. See every challenge as an opportunity. When things don't go your way, instead of complaining, say, God, I trust you. I know you're working all things together for my good. I know you're preparing me for something greater, because when you do that, when you stay faithful in the struggle, when you keep the right attitude, even in difficulty, God will take you from the prison to the palace. He will take you from the waiting season to the winning season. He will turn that test into a testimony. You may not see it now, but what you're going through is leading you to something amazing. Don't get discouraged. Don't give up. Keep growing. Keep believing. Keep moving forward. Because I promise you, when you look back, you're going to say it was all worth it. The best is yet to come. God bless you. Let me remind you today, what God has placed inside you is bigger than any challenge you will ever face. The dreams, the talents, the potential, it's all in you, waiting to be fully realized. But here's the thing, potential alone is not enough. You have to develop it, stretch it, and push yourself beyond your comfort zone. You have to be intentional about growing, about learning, about becoming the person God created you to be. Too many people go through life waiting for the right opportunity, waiting for someone to notice them, waiting for success to come knocking on their door. But the truth is, success doesn't come to those who wait, it comes to those who prepare. When you make the decision to invest in yourself, to develop your skills, to learn something new, that's when you position yourself for the opportunities God has in store. I think about a man in the Bible named Daniel. Daniel was a young man taken from his homeland and placed in a foreign country. He could have said, this isn't fair. I don't belong here. I'll just do the bare minimum and get by. But no, the scripture says Daniel distinguished himself. He worked hard, he studied, he honed his skills. And because of that, he kept getting promoted. He didn't wait for opportunity, he prepared for it. That's what you have to do. Don't wait for life to hand you something, develop what's in you now. If you're in school, don't just aim to pass, aim to excel. If you have a job, don't just do what's required, go the extra mile. If you have a dream, don't just wish for it, start preparing for it. Maybe you have a desire to start a business. But right now, you're working for someone else. That's not wasted time, that's preparation time. Be excellent where you are. Learn everything you can. Develop leadership skills, communication skills, management skills. Because when the opportunity comes, you don't want to be wishing you had prepared, you want to be ready. I heard about a man who wanted to become a professional athlete. He had the talent, but he wasn't putting in the effort. He thought, I'll train when I get signed to a team. I'll start taking it seriously once I get my opportunity. But the opportunity never came. Why? Because he wasn't preparing. The people who succeed aren't the ones waiting for the opportunity. They're the ones getting ready in advance. That's what David did. Long before he faced Goliath, David was in the fields, developing his skills. He wasn't just sitting around hoping to be discovered. He was practicing with his slingshot, taking down lions and bears, refining his technique. So when the time came to step onto the battlefield, he didn't hesitate. He didn't need months to get ready. He was already prepared. The problem with so many people today is they have a someday mentality. Someday I'll get serious about my career. Someday I'll start working on my dream. Someday I'll develop my gifts. But let me tell you, someday's not on the calendar. If you keep putting it off, before you know it, years will go by and you'll still be in the same place. I love what the Apostle Paul said, run in such a way as to win. In other words, go after life with everything you've got. Don't just go through the motions. Don't just do enough to get by. Give it your all. Maybe you want to be a speaker, but you're afraid of speaking in front of people. Start practicing now. Maybe you want to write a book, but you don't know how to start. Take a class, study other writers, begin developing your craft. Maybe you want to be a leader, but you don't feel confident yet. Read books on leadership, listen to great leaders, find ways to stretch yourself. You have to invest in yourself. You have to make growth a priority. Because here's the truth, God is always ready to bless you, but the question is, are you ready to handle the blessing? If you're not preparing, if you're not growing, if you're not stretching yourself, then when the opportunity comes, you may not be ready for it. You see this all the time. Someone gets a big promotion, but they haven't developed the skills to handle it, and they struggle. Someone gets a big financial breakthrough, but they haven't learned how to manage money, and they lose it. Someone gets the opportunity of a lifetime, but they haven't prepared, and they miss out. Don't let that be you. Start preparing now. Start stretching now. Start developing your gifts now. Because when you do your part, when you take the steps to grow, God will do his part. He will open doors you never imagined. He will bring opportunities that you couldn't create on your own. The scripture says a man's gift will make room for him and bring him before great men. That means when you develop your gift, when you sharpen your skills, when you take what God has placed inside of you and refine it, It will open doors for you. You won't have to chase opportunities. Opportunities will chase you. Think about Joseph. He had a dream of becoming a leader, but he didn't just sit back and wait for it to happen. He prepared. Even when he was in prison, he was growing, learning, managing responsibilities. And when the time came, when Pharaoh needed someone with wisdom and leadership ability, Joseph was ready. I believe the same thing is going to happen for you. As you develop your gifts, as you grow, as you prepare for what's ahead, God is going to open doors you never expected. He's going to put you in the right place at the right time. He's going to take you further than you ever dreamed. But it starts with you. It starts with your decision to grow, to develop, to prepare. Don't wait for the opportunity to get ready now, because one day that door is going to open. One day that opportunity is going to come knocking. And when it does, you want to be able to step through it with confidence, knowing that you're prepared, knowing that you've done your part. So make the decision today, I'm going to grow, I'm going to develop my gifts, I'm going to stretch myself beyond my comfort zone. I'm going to be ready when my moment comes. And when you do that, I believe and declare doors are going to open, opportunities are going to come, favor is going to follow you, and you're going to step into a new level of success, influence, and victory. The best is yet to come. God bless you. I want to encourage you today, what you focus on is what you move toward. If you focus on obstacles, you'll see more obstacles. If you focus on lack, you'll experience more lack. But if you focus on the promise, if you keep your eyes fixed on the vision God has placed in your heart, nothing will be able to stop you. The enemy's greatest weapon against your destiny is distraction. He knows he can't take the promise away from you, so he tries to shift your attention away from it. He tries to get you so consumed with the challenges, the delays, the disappointments that you forget what God spoke over your life. But the scripture says, let us run with perseverance, marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus. That means you have to stay focused. You can't let the distractions pull you away from your purpose. Think about Peter when he saw Jesus walking on the water. As long as he kept his eyes on Jesus, he was fine. He did the impossible. He walked on water, but the moment he started looking at the wind and waves, he began to sink. That's what happens when you take your focus off the promise. Fear creeps in, doubt takes over. But if you'll keep your eyes on where you're going, if you'll stay focused on the vision, nothing will be able to hold you back. Some of you today, you've allowed distractions to steal your focus. Maybe it's what people are saying. Maybe it's a disappointment you faced. Maybe it's the fact that things aren't happening as quickly as you'd like. But can I tell you, don't let temporary setbacks make you lose sight of your permanent destiny. What God has spoken over your life will come to pass. But you have to stay focused. You have to keep believing, keep moving forward, keep pressing toward what's ahead. When Nehemiah was rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem, his enemies tried to distract him. They sent messengers saying, come down from the wall, let's talk. They were trying to pull him away from his purpose. But Nehemiah sent back a message, I am doing a great work and I cannot come down. He refused to be distracted. He refused to let anything pull him away from what he was called to do. That's the attitude you have to have. I am doing a great work and I cannot come down. I cannot waste time on negativity. I cannot let fear control me. I cannot get caught up in things that don't matter. I have a destiny to fulfill. I have a vision to keep pursuing. There will always be distractions. There will always be things trying to pull you away, but you have to decide, I will not come down. I will not let this situation steal my focus. I will not let disappointment keep me from pressing forward. I will not allow fear to stop me from stepping into my calling. I heard about a man who trained hunting dogs. When they were young, he would put them in a field and throw a rabbit in one direction. As soon as the dogs saw it, they would take off running. But halfway through, he would release another rabbit in a different direction. Some of the dogs would turn and chase the second rabbit. Then he'd release a third rabbit, and more of them would change direction again. By the end of the exercise, most of the dogs were exhausted, but they hadn't caught anything. But there was always one dog that locked in on the first rabbit and never looked back. No matter what distractions came, he stayed focused. He didn't waste his energy chasing things that didn't matter. And in the end, he was the one that finished the race. That's what happens in life. Some people are chasing this, chasing that, getting distracted by every little thing that comes along. But the people who succeed, the people who reach their full potential, are the ones who stay focused on the calling, on the vision, on the promise God placed in their hearts. The Apostle Paul said, one thing I do, forgetting what is behind and pressing toward what is ahead. He didn't say 20 things I do. He said one thing. He had a singular focus. He wasn't scattered. He wasn't distracted. He wasn't worried about what people thought. He had his eyes set on the prize. Some of you need to simplify your focus. You've been trying to do too many things at once. You're worried about what others are doing. You're spending time comparing yourself to people who aren't even running your race. But if you want to reach your destiny, you have to stay focused. You have to let go of the distractions and lock in on what God has called you to do. Maybe you started out strong, you were excited, passionate, moving forward, but then life happened. a setback, a disappointment, a delay, and now you're not as focused as you used to be. Can I encourage you? It's time to refocus. It's time to get your vision back. It's time to remind yourself of what God put in your heart and start moving toward it again. Don't let a temporary delay make you give up on a permanent promise. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Just because it's taking longer than you expected doesn't mean God isn't working behind the scenes. Joseph had a dream of becoming a leader, but for years, nothing in his life looked like the dream. He was betrayed, falsely accused, thrown into prison. He could have lost focus. He could have said, this isn't fair. This isn't working. But he kept his eyes on the promise. He didn't let the distractions pull him away, and in God's perfect timing, the dream came to pass. What if Joseph had given up? What if he had let bitterness take root? What if he had decided that it was too hard? He would have missed out on the incredible destiny God had for him. The same is true for you. You may be facing distractions, challenges, disappointments, but don't let them pull you away from your calling. Stay focused on the vision, keep believing, keep pressing forward, because what God promised will come to pass. I love the story of the racehorse Secretariat. He was one of the greatest racehorses of all time. But what most people don't know is that Secretariat had a condition. His heart was twice the size of a normal horse's heart. That's why he could run faster, longer, with more endurance than the others. That's what happens. You keep your heart focused on the keeping tempo. When you don't let distraction pull you away, when you don't allow fear, doubt, or negativity to hold you back. I believe that as you stay focused, as you keep pressing forward, God is going to give you strength beyond your natural ability. He's going to give you endurance to outlast the opposition. He's going to open doors that no man can shut. So don't get discouraged. Don't let the distraction steal your focus. Set your eyes on the promise. Keep running your race. Because I believe and declare, if you stay focused, if you refuse to come down, you're going to step into new levels of success, favor, and victory. The best is yet to come. God bless you. I want to remind you today that every step you take in faith, every effort you put in, every moment you push through the challenges, it's all leading you to the promise God has for you. The enemy would love to convince you that your efforts don't matter, that the little things you do aren't making a difference, that you're not getting anywhere. But the truth is, God sees every act of faithfulness, every step of obedience, every moment you choose to keep going when you could have given up. When you're pursuing a dream, when you're working toward a goal, there will be times when it feels like nothing is happening. You're doing the right thing, but you're not seeing the results. You're putting in the effort, but the breakthrough hasn't come yet. It's easy to get discouraged in those moments to start thinking, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I'm wasting my time. Maybe I should just settle. But let me tell you, every effort you make is storing up favor. Every sacrifice, every time you push through, every time you choose faith over fear, you are getting closer to the promise. Just because you don't see anything happening doesn't mean God isn't working behind the scenes. He is lining up the right people, opening the right doors, putting the right opportunities in place. I think about a bamboo tree. When you plant it, for the first few years, nothing seems to happen. You water it, take care of it, nurture it, but it stays the same. No sign of growth. No visible progress, but then in the 5th year, something incredible happens. That bamboo tree shoots up over 80 feet in just a few weeks. What was happening all those years? The roots were growing deep. The foundation was being strengthened. It was getting ready for the acceleration. That's how it is in life. You may feel like nothing is changing. You've been faithful, but you don't see the results. Let me encourage you, your roots are growing deep. God is strengthening you. He's preparing you for what's coming. And when the time is right, you're going to see an acceleration. Doors will open suddenly. Opportunities will come out of nowhere. What should have taken years will happen in a fraction of the time. But you have to keep going. You can't give up because you don't see immediate results. The breakthrough is coming. The promise is on its way. Keep showing up. Keep being faithful. Keep pressing forward. David was anointed to be king as a teenager, but he didn't step into the throne right away. He spent years in the fields, tending sheep, playing his harp, fighting off lions and bears. It didn't seem like much, but what David didn't realize was that he was in training for his destiny. When he stood before Goliath, he didn't panic. He didn't hesitate. Why? Because he had already developed the skills he needed in those unseen moments. Some of you are in your preparation season right now. You're working hard, staying faithful, but you're wondering why you're not seeing the results yet. Can I tell you, God is getting you ready for something greater. If He gave you the promise too soon, you wouldn't be prepared to handle it. But when you prove yourself faithful in the little things, when you keep going even when it's tough, that's when you qualify for more. The scripture says, do not grow weary in doing good, for in due season you will reap a harvest if you do not give up. Notice, if you do not give up, The enemy knows that if you keep going, if you keep believing, if you keep pushing forward, you're going to step into what God has promised. That's why he works so hard to make you feel tired, discouraged, like it's not worth it. But you have to remind yourself the harvest is coming. I heard about a young woman who had a dream of becoming a doctor. She worked tirelessly, studying late into the night, sacrificing time with friends, pushing through the exhaustion. There were moments when she wondered if it was worth it, but she kept going. She didn't let the delays, the difficulties, or the doubt stop her. And eventually, after years of perseverance, she reached her goal. That's what happens when you refuse to quit. When you stay the course, when you keep giving your best even when no one is watching, when you trust that your efforts are leading you somewhere, God will take you further than you ever imagined. Maybe you're believing for a promotion, but it hasn't happened yet. Keep being excellent where you are. Maybe you're working toward a degree, and it feels like it's taking forever. Keep studying, keep showing up. Maybe you're trying to build something, a business, a ministry, a dream, but you're not seeing the results yet. Keep building, keep planning, keep moving forward. You are closer than you think. The enemy wouldn't be fighting you so hard if there weren't something incredible on the other side. The closer you get to your breakthrough, the more resistance you'll face. But that's not a sign to quit, that's a sign to push harder. When a woman is about to give birth, the pain intensifies, uncomfortable, it's difficult, it's exhausting. But do you know what the doctor tells her? Push. The pain is a sign that the baby is coming. The struggle is an indication that the promise is about to be delivered. Some of you have been feeling the pressure. The difficulties have increased. The obstacles seem bigger than ever. But let me tell you, that's because you're on the verge of something amazing. The promise is so close, the breakthrough is just ahead, the dream is about to be birthed. So what do? You push. You keep moving forward. You don't let fear stop you. You don't let exhaustion make you quit. You don't let delays convince you to settle. You push through the difficulties. You push past the discouragement. You push toward the promise. Because when you do, you will see what God has been preparing for you all along. You will step into a new season of favor. You will rise to levels you never dreamed possible. So don't stop now. Don't give up because it's hard. Keep believing, keep striving, keep moving forward. Because I declare your due season is coming. The doors will open. The favor will be released. The breakthrough will arrive. And when it does, you will look back and realize every effort, every sacrifice, every moment of perseverance was worth it. The best is yet to come. God bless you. I want to encourage you today, don't stop until you're proud of yourself. Don't stop when it gets hard. Don't stop when you face obstacles. Don't stop when the road seems long. Keep moving forward. Keep pressing on. Keep believing in the promise God has placed in your heart. You may not see the results yet, but that doesn't mean your efforts are in vain. God is working behind the scenes. Every step you take, every sacrifice you make, every challenge you push through is leading you closer to the breakthrough. Just like the bamboo tree, just like David in the fields, just like Joseph in the prison, your preparation is not wasted. Your time is coming. The enemy would love to distract you, to discourage you, to make you think that it's not worth it. But you have to stand firm and say, I am doing a great work and I cannot come down. Stay focused on your calling. Keep your eyes on the promise. Don't let temporary setbacks make you forfeit your destiny. When you feel tired, push a little harder. When you face resistance, keep pressing forward. When you feel like quitting, remind yourself you are closer than you think. The pain, the struggle, the challenges are not signs to stop. They are signs that you are on the verge of something amazing. I declare that as you keep going, as you stay faithful, as you refuse to settle. God is going to open doors you never imagined. He's going to bring opportunities that accelerate your journey. He's going to turn your struggles into testimonies and your obstacles into stepping stones. So don't stop now. Keep running your race. Keep believing. Keep striving. Keep pressing forward. Because the best is yet to come. God bless you.